WCCB News at 10 with Morgan Fogarty and Will Kennedy starts now on Charlotte CW.
All right, rainy days and Mondays, and flooding is still a major concern tonight as creeks and streams continue to swell after more than 24 hours of relentless rain pounded the Charlotte area. The storms toppling trees, making some streets impossible to drive on. Nearly 2,000 people are still without power tonight. Several flood watches and warnings are now extended into tomorrow morning. The strongest rain is starting to taper off, but we're tracking more showers overnight and tomorrow. I'm Will Kennedy. Morgan is off tonight. We have team coverage with meteorologist Michelle Rotella monitoring the storm damage, but we start tonight with Chief Meteorologist Greg Armbrecht.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Will, it has been a wild 2 days out there. Lots of rainfall. In fact, check this out. This is why we're dealing with flooding concerns. Notice into the high country, most areas there between about 4.5 and 5.5 inches of rainfall. So again, the creeks and streams pretty much at their max at this point. Notice right along I-40 between about 3.5 and 4.5 inches of rainfall. In and around Charlotte, just over 3 inches. But check out Lancaster, over 5 inches of rainfall. Now, the good news is the heaviest rain at this point is lifting up to the north. That's the good news. The bad news, the rain that's fallen over the past 2 days still has to distribute itself into the streams and the creeks and then eventually the rivers. So we do still have that flood watch. That's until 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. We still have showers in tonight's forecast, but this will no longer be a flooding rain concern. This is just additional rainfall, but it should be much, much lighter. Notice off to the south, really south of I-85, that moisture now lifting up to the north in and around Mecklenburg County, right along I-77. Just stepped outside myself about 10 minutes ago. There's some drizzle, a few sprinkles, but nothing like what we had earlier today. So right now, Huntersville dealing with a little bit of light rain, but in and around Uptown, we're doing much better. Now further north towards parts of Rowan County, the northern parts, basically north and west of the I-85 corridor, along I-70 up towards Statesville, areas north of that, they're still dealing with some moderate rainfall, and that does extend all the way back to the west, right along I-40 points north. The good news is, though, this continues to weaken and slide to the north, so we do still expect some moisture throughout the rest of tonight. But again, the flooding issues are beginning to subside just a little bit, but we do still have that flood watch until tomorrow morning. Of course, we'll talk much more about that coming up. And believe it or not, after high temperature 57, wait till you see 90 degrees potentially in the forecast.
Greg, thanks. Meteorologist Michelle Rotella continues our team coverage live from the Elizabeth neighborhood. Michelle, what does it look like out there tonight?
Yeah, hey, Will. Well, the crews still have a lot of work to do when it comes to removing trees that fell here in Elizabeth, but we saw damage like this all across the area today.
It wasn't a very loud noise, and then about 10-15 minutes later, two fire trucks showed up and lit up the whole house.
Virginia Shear says she was house sitting in Elizabeth when she heard this tree fall around midnight. Charlotte City Arborist said the department got 54 calls about fallen trees and limbs in the past 2 days. Storms caused lots of damage in Rock Hill, which had 20 to 30 mile-per-hour wind gusts. One man says he saw part of a Family Dollar store crash to the ground.
The structure on top, it collapsed, and it hit the sign.
Entire neighborhoods in Rock Hill lost power for hours.
I seen power lines all over the road and everything, so here we are. We've been out of power since 10 o'clock this morning.
Trees falling weren't the only issues that some people had. With all the heavy rain over the past couple of days, it's made bridges and roads impassable for some people across the area. Dutch Buffalo Creek flooded, making it dangerous to drive on Bowman Barrier Road near Mount Pleasant.
And this road, you know, it's just real low, and the water, when it rises up, it just gets over it really, really fast.
About a mile away, drivers braved the roads flooded by the Rocky River. Now, since this tree fell on private property, the city told the owner that she's responsible for the damage, so it could be a while before this mess gets cleaned up. Live in Elizabeth, meteorologist Michelle Rotella, WCCB News.
Thanks, Michelle.